John, it's been a while. The 60th minute, which is the pivotal time of the game, you had a couple of substitutions. What was the thinking at that time? It was 0-0.
Yeah, a couple of things. Raul Petretta only had a certain amount of minutes in him, so there was a volume reality for Raul in terms of making sure that we didn't put him in that danger zone. So that was one. And the second was to get Jaquil into the game. I mean, I'd had a conversation with Jaquil, prior to the game that it's going to be a busy schedule coming up. And the impact off the bench is going to be really important for him. He's going to take a moment, and he can take a moment to really light the game up. We knew that they had a left back that hadn't played much minutes, and we knew that when you're playing in those last 30 minutes, when you haven't played many minutes for a team, you're vulnerable. So to bring Jaquil in at that moment was key. So some of it was game management, and others was player management. First half we struggled with the way we were pressing New England with the wing backs and our attacking midfielders, but we changed that at half time. We got some clarity with the group, which allowed Jaquil to be more aggressive on the arrival on their fullback. They were very much able to find that opposite side rhythm, but I think with Jaquil's aggressivity, it really stifled them. He was able to just bring a new level of energy and pressure, but with his unique fitness base, he can go both ways. And I think that's the exciting thing with Jaquil. He can bring in intensity defensively, and then when the game shifts, he can go the other way and still put the fullback on his heels. So I just thought there was real energy from Jaquil tonight, and a desire to want to make a difference for the club. We had to come out with 3 points. It was critical to just turn that wheel towards a positive trajectory in the league and get closer to that top four. And I think that's what we've said over these next 3 games at home. We have to take the full points out. It's critical. 1 point won't be enough if we want to stay right in the fight. For when we're able to bring the likes of Lorenzo and Richie back into the lineup, Shane O'Neill, obviously Coelho as well. When those guys, and you strengthen the squad, we want to be as close to that top 4 as we can. Relief that we can keep a clean sheet, we can stay together. As I say, this is a team that hasn't been able to consistently put the same starting 11 out. There's always something that seems to change it. So, tonight, seeing Nixon, Raul, Sigurd for the first time since a pre-season game in the back 3, I was really proud of what they were able to put in, and I think you see that solidarity, and the relief will come through without a doubt. But there's an element of frustration as well. We want to play better than that. I don't think we can hide from that fact that it wasn't the first half. Certainly wasn't a performance to be remembered from TFC. So, and they came in here with a week's preparation. Their coach was clear that this was the turning point. Their players had all agreed that this was their game. They were going to come up and beat Toronto. And they gave it a real good crack. I thought this was a really motivated New England Revolution team with some very good players. I think with anything, you can't take your eye off this type of opponent. I mean, for this opponent, we know the occasion's going to raise their motivation up maybe 10 levels. For players at TFC, it may be 1 or 2 levels, and you always have to try and bridge that gap. Some of that selection and freshness, and then some of that is, the mentality and the discipline in the next 2 days preparation. We'll be going into this. I'll be back in the office, 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning with my full staff to turn around the tactical blueprint, and the players will be back in Monday to start the walkthroughs. They'll sense that this is a very important game for our club, and one that we won't be taking lightly. But there are some players that are aware that this will be their moment as well. Some players we haven't seen yet.
John?
Yeah, I mean, every coach wants consistency. They want that cohesion. And it just hasn't been for us. So it can't be an excuse. At the end of the day, I think we know we'll get our luck at another time in the season when other teams may not get that luck. So we just accept, absorb. We we took a bit of a beating for a couple of weeks, and the players responded. As Neil said, there was a response there tonight. We actually seen that response, regardless of whether we've had to change players. And down to Federico, I mean, he's just being a warrior. That's every minute of every game he's played, and you see his desire to want to press, his desire to try and score. He's just being an absolute rock for this team. And home, we'd always have the crowd behind us, so that energy would always be there. And then, you've got to tip your hat to Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy. I mean, he's had a big impact coming off the bench. And again, he's having a good season. He's making big chances for players, and, Prince Owusu doing what he's been doing on a bit of a hot streak. So proud of the effort tonight, proud of the way they managed the game, and just made sure that we were hard to beat. That was a big starting point. But yeah, just happy to get 3 points, Neil.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.